Okay, hopefully, I think that worked. Well, that took a while. Let me bring my light back around. Can light this up. Okay, here we go. Come on, bring it up. Am I live? I don't know. Okay, it says apparently I am live. That would be lovely. Hey, it finally worked. I think my kid is eating up the bandwidth. Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Linda. I have a home decor, wreath making, and supply business called Sweet Aria Decor. Aria is my daughter. She just turned 13. She is no longer sweet, but bitchy Aria Decor doesn't seem like a good business name, so we're just going to stick with it. Anyway, tonight is Valentine's night. My husband is dead and I'm depressed, so I thought, let's make a wreath. Sorry, this is the humor you get with me. All right, so we are going to be doing some fun things tonight. We have this kit here. Now, this is a kit that's available in my shop. If you go in the description, you can see the kit linked there. But this is Home is Where My Cat Is. And it's so cute because the O is the little kitty face. Isn't that so cute? I love that. Now, this is going to be a thin wreath, right? So it's probably going to be less than 4 inches deep because this is meant to fit between a storm door, which is what we love. So here in the Midwest, most everybody has a storm door, so things have to be skinny. So we're going to do it on a wreath frame that has a really thin profile. We're going to add in some mesh. Now this is just a regular beige border stripe mesh. If you can see, they call it border stripe because the last, I don't know, 2 inches has like this darker border stripe on there. So we're going to use this. And then we have kitty cat ribbon. Check out that cute kitty cat. Look at that. It's got little fishies. It's got little prints, some paw prints. It's got a thing of yarn. Super cute. I love that. And then we just went with a beige, very neutral. I wanted to keep this wreath neutral because I don't know what someone's decor style is. So this is hopefully going to match with whatever someone has. And then we're going to finish it off with, there is this really cute 1.5 inch ribbon. Now, if you notice, the edge is like that little scalloped. We call this fancy panty ribbon because it reminds us of the little lacy underwear that used to be popular back in the 70s. But this one has a black and white checkered stripe through it. So exciting. So I'm going to put those off to the side. All right. And tell you about the other things in the kit. It also comes with cable tie mounts. These go on the back of the sign to mount it. And then we have pipe cleaners. And I'll explain what these are for. Okay. So if you look at this wreath form, there are 4 rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are 6 spines. Okay. So we're going to work with rings 1 and 2. I call the inner ring. Rings 3 and 4, I call the outer ring. So we're going to attach it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the inside. And then on the outside, in between the spines is the outside. So then there's 6 on the outside. So if my math is correct, and it's not always correct, but that would equal 12. So I'm going to have to cut 12 sets of ribbon tails and 12 pieces of this border stripe mesh. We are not going to end up using the whole thing, okay? So I'm going to pull this out. That goes over there. And again, you can get this kit in my shop. I do have the link in the description to this video, but if I say my shop name, it'll kind of shut me down. So my shop name is my business name, plus the period, plus how most websites end. DOTCOM. Yeah, I tried to sneak that in there. I don't think that's going to work. Okay, that's where you can get this kit. I got a ton of other kits too. Wreath frames, mesh, ribbon, greenery, all that cool stuff. All right, so here is our mesh roll. Now I'm going to pull this over. This is a mesh roller that I used to hold mine. You don't need anything fancy like that, okay? If you're going to cut this mesh, okay, you'll notice when I take it out of here, the end This one is pretty straight. Sometimes you might have to cut it to make sure you get a nice straight edge, but this one is pretty good actually. So I will show you two different ways to cut this. We are going to go cutting this at 18 inches, which is right here. So I can either cut this with scissors, which some people do. That can sometimes make your edge just a little more fray, right? Or I can use this roller, this rotary cutting tool. So you just push the blade out. It's like a giant pizza cutter. Just don't cut your finger open, because I did that on a live once and had to go get stitches. Okay, so I have two pieces cut. Now, I personally like to kind of put these pieces, I like to stack them on top of each other because it makes it easier for me to work. All right, so I'm going to just kind of put that under the wreath frame. But I have a mesh roller, so because I make so many wreaths, I bought this mesh roller. And this is going to just, and you can check out my link tree. If you are looking for this mesh roller, it is from Susie's triple stationary mesh roller. From Susie's Wreaths and Things. Okay, now I'm just gonna go through this really quick. So I've got two pieces. I need 10 more pieces cut at 18 inches. So that makes piece number 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of mesh. Oh, 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 on the count. 7, 8. No, get over there. 9, 10, 11, and 12. You could cut it a little longer if you wanted to. Some people cut them at 20. I like to cut them at 18 because it keeps the wreath thinner so your ruffle isn't as tall. But also then I have enough to get half a wreath out of the remaining amount on this roll. So if I have 2 rolls of mesh, I can get 3 wreaths out of that. Okay, so and now I'm going to carefully store this. How I carefully store this is I throw it in the corner. Crazy, crazy. Okay, I'm moving the mesh roller. Getting that out of the way. All right, that is gone. Now go back, move all this over. You see how this kind of rolls all over the place on the table? My pet peeve is when it ends up rolling off of the, when it rolls off of the edge. Drives me nuts. Ticks me off. Okay, I'm trying to be able to see comments. Say hello. Kit link is in description. Oops, you guys ever get to see my double chin. All right, I have posted it. Yay! All right, cool. I don't really do TikTok or YouTube lives, so I'm kind of new to that. So I'm just kind of getting the kinks of how this is working. I like to lay these out because I don't want everything flying off the end of my table. All right, this is more for myself, my own sanity. Plus, when we work with the mesh, we are going to kind of flatten it out and work with it like this. So it kind of just helps stack it a little bit. So a little ounce of a couple of extra seconds of laying this out is going to prevent me from having to go around behind my table and drop a swear word, because nothing makes me mad more than when stuff flies off the table. And it's all my fault because I put it there. And gravity. Can't be mad at gravity. I'm definitely not defying gravity sometimes with this stuff. It can go flinging all over the place, but that's all right. But this is a nice material to work with. It's pretty forgiving, just like wired ribbon. It's very forgiving material. So this is a really great style of wreath to make if you are a beginning wreath maker and you just kind of want to dip your toe into the crafty pond. This is also a really fun style to make if you have kids and you want to get them involved in that. Obviously you would have to do the cutting, but they could do all of the assembling of putting things onto the wreath. Okay. So I'm going to put that over there. I'm going to stick this here. We're done with the rotary cutter. There you go. And now I'm going to sit down because I am old and my back hurts. All right, move that to the side. So let's talk wreath frame. How are we going to attach the mesh and everything to the wreath frame is with these pipe cleaners, okay? It comes with 17 pipe cleaners. We need 12 for the frame, 2 for the sign, and then I gave 3 extra in case you want to make a bunch of smaller bows instead of one larger bow. But this one, we're going to do one larger bow, okay? And if you want to do different style or your sign placement is different, I do have lots of tutorials on my page that can give you different options for how to place your sign, how to make different style bows. Lots of, it's like 4 years worth of videos out there. Okay. So we're going to start with, I like to start with putting one of the sets of spines up at the 12 o'clock position. I like to orient and talk about this all like a clock. Okay. So 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. I'm going to start down here at the bottom because it's closest to you. Remember there's 4 rings. Okay. So I'm going to take one of my pipe cleaners. I'm going to come underneath the second ring, but I'm on the left side of the spine. Okay, see that at the left side of the spine? Oops, underneath the second ring. Now, not halfway up, but about maybe, I don't know, a third or so of the way. I'm going to hold it here, and I'm going to bring the pipe cleaner up and around over the top of ring 1, and then bring it under ring 2, but now I'm on the right side of the spine. So I am straddling that spine, okay? And when you look at it sideways, it kind of looks like a lightning bolt, right? It's a little lightning bolt. It's a little Harry Potter scar, okay? You'll see that halfway through. And then we're going to bring it back around to the top of the first one. And now we've made a W, okay? And now we're going to pull this nice and tight, and we're going to give it a good hard twist. We are not going to untwist this once we twist it onto the frame. Everything will be added on top of it, okay? So let's do it again. To the left of the spine, under ring 2, up and over ring 1, under ring 2 to the right of the spine, back around, over ring 1 again, and twist. And if you can twist it where it's kind of the up and down, the 12 and 6 o'clock, and leave it that way, it'll make it easier when we're going to add in your mesh. So if you guys have any questions at all right now, drop a comment, let me know. I will answer, and also I will check when people are watching this as a replay. I go back and I will answer those questions as well. Obviously not immediately because I'm not live, but I want to make sure people don't have any questions. My whole goal is to really bring a love of crafting to people. There we go. Because it is the best therapy. After I lost my husband, and I crafted before, but after I lost him, I really threw myself into it. And it took a little while because I felt guilty crafting. Like, how can I make something nice and pretty when my husband is dead, right? It's a very, sad, morbid topic to talk about, but it gave me back a sense of control, and I really believe that it helped in healing me so that I could continue to move on and live a life where I felt like there was something positive that could still come out of the rest of my life. Make pretty from pain. That's my motto. We can do it. It's good therapy. Now, Hobby Lobby doesn't take our insurance for therapy, but does your therapist offer glitter and ribbon? No. So here we go. Okay. All right. Now we've done all 6 on the inside. Okay, now we're going to move to the outside. We're not putting it down here. We're going to go in between, because if we put them at the same place here, you're going to end up having a wreath with really weird scallops, and it's not going to be a nice round circle edge. So I'm going to put the ring on top of, put the pipe cleaner on top of ring 3. Okay, hold it there. Bring it around the bottom underneath 4. Back over 3. Back under 4. So you're just twisting it around there. And again, you can still see we've got that the little lightning bolt shape. Bring it back up, make our W shape, and then give it a twist, right? Now, friends, this is not the fun part of wreath making. This is the boring part of wreath making, okay? The fun part comes when you start putting the ribbon on and you get to start adding all the fun stuff, but, this is just the part that we have to do. All right. So this is the third one. Here we go. Pinch and twist. So I started making kits because I ended up having a lot of extra supplies. I love shopping for supplies. I'm obsessed with shopping for supplies. but I ended up having more supplies than I would use, so I started selling them as kits so other people could make them, and then the kits started selling. Oh my gosh, this could be a better avenue for my business. So that's kind of a big part of what I do now. Most of the things that you will see me make, I'm trying to make things that you can buy from my shop, because I figure, why am I hyping up everybody else's shop? Hey, go here to get your ribbon, go here to get your mesh, when you could buy it from me, right? I am a widow with a 13-year-old, and I am trying to make this a business where I don't have to go back to work in a corporate job. So we'll see. I'm doing my best. Okay, 12 spots on your frame, my friend. Here we go. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is, we've got our mesh cut. I like to have everything cut before I go to assemble this. So we are going to cut the ribbon next, okay? So it comes with a plastic around it. Just cut that off, okay? So always, always use wired ribbon. If you don't use wired ribbon, you're not going to like how your wreath turns out, because the ribbon will get floppy. It'll get flaccid, like it needs ribbon Viagra. We need to keep our ribbon nice and wired and bendable, okay? RG Ribbon is a very nice, affordable brand of ribbon. All right, I'm going to cut my tails at 14 inches. Again, so let me start with a nice edge here. So you can go like this if you've just got scissors, you got a ruler or something. Here we go, 14 inches. You can also, to make it easier on yourself, wrap it around something. So I have one piece cut, okay? This is a ribbon tail board. Now, I got this from Hot Mesh Mom, and I love these. If you make a lot of wreaths, these are great. But if you don't, and you still want to find an easy way to do this, go grab yourself a cardboard box, and you can cut off one of the flaps and measure it out to 14 inches. And you can wrap your ribbon around that cardboard box flap, okay? So I need 13 more pieces. I'm just going to hold it here and wrap it. 2. So I got 1, 2. This makes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay? So I'm going to cut it off right at the end here. So after I've done this with this method, you can just slide it right off the board, and you've got these loops, right? You're just going to cut at that end and at that end, and boom, you're going to have the rest of your tails. Okay? I'm cutting that. It makes it a lot faster. I used to cut them one by one, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you don't have very sharp scissors. You might not want to cut multiple at one time because you're not going to get a nice sharp cut. But I have what I call the infamous blue-handled scissors. We love those. They work very, very well. You can get these from, I don't have them in my shop, but you can shop, the affiliate link in my bio that's for MB Crafts. Max has these in his shop. Okay, so we're going to dovetail. I'm going to take one as an example so you know what I'm talking about. You're like, what the heck is a dovetail, lady? It's when you make the shape of a V. So you have like a V shape at the end of your ribbon. So you're going to take your 2 wired edges. Okay, now this is the inside. Also notice there is a front and back to ribbon, even when it looks like it's solid. This is a nice flat stitch on the front, and the stitch is a little bit more raised on the back. So you always want to keep that in mind, especially when you're working with ribbon that you can't tell the front or the back. There's no print, right? But there is a difference also in how the wire will curve it. So we're going to take our 2 wired edges, bend them together. Okay, so they're together. The end kind of looks like a little taco. And we're going to cut angled from the inside, going outward toward the wire. All right, and then look. Oh, it's so pretty. It looks nice and finished, but this also kind of helps keep things from fraying. It looks nice. We like a good dovetail, and we call it a dovetail because it looks like the tail of a dove. Shocker, I know, right? Wow, you never would have guessed. Okay, so we got that one cut. Once you have gotten used to cutting tails like this, you can stack and cut a bunch at once. Okay, so I'm stacking these sideways. Okay, and then I'm going to bend it all together. You have to have good sharp scissors for this, but I'm going to cut a bunch. Whee! All right, and there we go. Cut the stack. Okay, and again, I cut 12 of these pieces. If you're just joining us, I cut 12 of these pieces because there are 12 spots. for ribbon on our wreath frame, and they were cut at 14 inches a piece. By the time you dovetail it, they end up being 13 inches. So it's always good to cut a little bit longer, and then, you know, you can trim it. I'm going to cut this in 2 stacks because I feel like my scissors are not as sharp as they used to be, and I want to make sure I get a nice crisp edge. I'm making this wreath for my aunt, for my godmother. She asked for it for her birthday. And she's going to be here tomorrow for my daughter's birthday party. So I was like, oh, you know, I should make that wreath, Linda, so she can take it home with her. Why should she have to wait till her birthday in a month? Take it home now. Here we go. All right. So I will usually take a kind of like a more neutral or not a super busy pattern as the bottom layer on the wreath. Okay. Now this, we're going to use this to make a bow. So this is going to go over into my bow maker on the side. Yes, I have to use a bow maker. Why do I have to use a bow maker? Because I messed up the tendon in my hands making too many tomato cage trees. And now I'm paying the price. So I have to be, I'm making less than I used to. So that's why selling supplies is good. My poor hands. When you turn 50, the extended warranty on your body expires, and no one calls you to ask if you want to extend that, right? No. Oh, I tell you, it's terrible. All right. We're going to bend this over the edge, and we're going to cut 12 of this pattern. Now, this cute little kitty pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yay! This is basically kind of a similar concept. If you're making a fluffier, thicker wreath, same thing. Cut your mesh at 18 inches. Your wreath frames, you can get those in my shop. My business name plus period com. You can use the wreath frames. They're a little bit larger, but they already come with these little ties attached to it. There's 18 spots on those. So if you cut 18 pieces at 18 inches, you'll have enough on 1 roll of mesh, but you want 2 rolls of mesh to make it a nice and fluffy wreath. And then you would cut your tails again at 14 inches long because we like that. But you would have to cut 18 sets. But then you typically have enough ribbon left over to make a really nice bow, right? We like that. So when you have a thin kit like this where we're using less ribbon tails, you will have enough. You can make at least, you can probably make 2 bows with whatever is left. Okay, I'm going to finish cutting this. I do have a question for anyone out there, and I'm trying to see if you've got comments, pop them in the comments and let me know. But I have these dog pics in my shop. It's a dog print, right? I should have asked ChatGPT this. I don't know the difference. What is the difference in a paw print between the dog and the cat? Because to me, it looks the same. I'm sure maybe there's a difference, but when we're talking like paw prints, I'm like, could I be marketing that as cat print too? Could I be putting that in this kit? Who knows? I wish I had an extra phone handy to see what it says. Do I have an extra phone handy? I do. I do have my extra phone. So let's see what it says. Let's see if Siri will listen to me. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. Oh, the wrong Siri's answering. Okay, I'm just going to go ask this. What? Here, go back. When it comes to animation and caricatures, what is the difference between a cat paw print and a dog paw print? It says... It's still searching. Apparently, I must have asked it something. It is flummoxed. Cat paws are rounded and dainty, usually without claws, while dog paws are oval and rugged with visible claw marks. Okay, well, the pics that I have don't have that. So hold on, my friends. I'm going to go grab one real quick. Stay there. I'm going to grab a pic. Hold on. Okay. All right, I'm coming back. These are the pics. So, I mean, these actually could probably get away with using this as cat paws. So I think maybe, well, maybe not for this kit, but I think I do have those available separately in my shop if you are interested in adding the paw print, right? All right. That could be cute. That could be cute. We'll see. I might decide to add that in at the end. All right, but we got our cat print over here. All right, so we have 2 types of ribbon cut. This is the 3rd type. Now, you do not have to use a 1.5-inch ribbon. I, however, am going to want to. All right, you can save this just for the bow, but because I've got a whole spool of it, I'm thinking, why not? All right. Now, the wire in this is slightly, it's not as wiry as in the other ones, but it still works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, there we go. Woo! Got that off. I love using a 1.5-inch with the scalloped edge. It just, to me, looks so cute. It's so cute. All right, got that end cut. Now let's go cut this end right here. Okay. All right, let's separate this out into 2 different stacks. You'll see wherever the patterns back up to each other. Here we go. I've got 6 on one side, 6 on the other. Now this is going to be a little bit easier to bend and cut because it's only 1.5 inch and it's not particularly thick. All right, but because it's got a scalloped edge, the funky thing is sometimes the end of the scallop, depending on how you cut it, might stick out a little weird. So sometimes you want to have to just go off the end and just kind of grab a little piece of that scallop, just so it doesn't stick out and look like a snaggletooth. Okay, here we go. Here we go on that. All right, here we go on cutting out this. And then now the fun begins. Now we can start assembling the wreath once we got all of that together. Here we go. Okay. So how I like to do this is I'm going to keep my ribbons over here and my mesh over here. I like to put the ribbon and the mesh on it at the same time. I call it the lazy method. Sometimes people will put all the mesh on first and then go back around and then put all the ribbon on. I'm lazy. I like to do it that way. All right. Actually, I need something heavier to hold that down. We'll use that. There we go. Because I'm going to need this to snip off those things. Okay. All right. So now I am going to take my piece of mesh. We've kind of got it flattened out, okay? Because it's going to want to curl up. We don't want it to curl up. We want to kind of lay it flat, curl side down, okay? All right, and I'm going to start down at the bottom, right in the center. So if you have like a stripe pattern, it's easier to kind of mark where the center is, but I'm going to just go up the center. I'm gathering it with both fingers. It's kind of like you can almost hear a scraping sound. All right, and then you end up with what looks like a little bow tie. It looks like a little piece of farfalle pasta, okay? We're going to come in. I'm going to start in the outside ring. I'm not undoing these. I'm leaving the pipe cleaner in there, right? I'm just going to set this down right on the center of that pipe cleaner, and I'm going to bring it up from the bottom, down from the top, and give it a good twist, okay? So it goes in there like that. We need to adjust it though, okay? We're going to make it a little flatter, so we're going to lay our left side over the top side on the bottom, put the left side over the top side. So now, instead of having like this wavy thing, we have what looks like, you see the circle pattern? Ooh, a little black fuzz. But you see it now looks like a circle, okay? This is a method that I learned from Sincerely Creative Mom, Coach Melissa, and it has been one of my favorite methods to use. All right, I don't see. Okay, I want to make sure I'm not missing any possible questions. All right, so now what I like to do is take the ribbon and put the ribbon in. So I'm going to put the ribbon down and that one on top of it. So beige and then cat. Now the cats, if you look, the cats are, that one's facing up, that one's facing down. So this is not directional ribbon, so we don't have to worry about making sure that it faces a certain way, okay? It varies it. And then we're going to put this one down, everything right in the center, okay? All right. and then bend it in half. So bring these two ends together, push it down. And you'll see that there's a crease down the middle. We're just going to pinch that, pinch it. Now pop the ends, meaning put your finger underneath here, okay? So that it kind of looks like that. Open this back up. And I've opened it, but you notice this didn't pop back out because the mesh squished. It knows where to stay. So now I can just set that right in there. And I'm going to bring this in. Now I'm going to keep twisting this around each other till we end up with about at least an inch or so. All right, and now we're going to snip, leaving an inch. Here's the funny part. We will separate this back. So separate this. I call this putting it between the butt cheeks. So separate these out. Push that. Just push it right to the back, right behind there. All right, goes behind the wreath, and then bring it back. So that is now covered. We're going to separate these out. I'm going to bring that bottom one up to the top. I'm going to bring this one to the middle, and I'm going to bring that one down. I'll do the same thing over here. Okay. And then you might have to adjust it a couple times before it kind of gets to know its spot, but this is how I've chosen to separate them out. But you can do something like you can bring these two together and then have beige and then have that. So this works as well. You know what? Maybe for this wreath, I think maybe I'm gonna try doing it this way, because sometimes I do it the other way. So this time we're gonna do it like that. Okay? You just gotta make sure that these stay close together. We don't want to see any gaps. All right, we're doing something a little different this time. I like mixing it up. Okay, so now again, mesh curl side down, gathering it up right up the center with two hands. Try to make sure it remains centered. Put it on top of that pipe cleaner, and then bring it up from the bottom, down from the top, give it a twist, and then lay your left side over your right side, and the same on the bottom, left over right. And then you end up with a nice circle. If something looks like, hey, there's a little more on the top or bottom, you can kind of just give it a tug and kind of readjust it. You can open this back up, make sure it lays a little differently, however you want to do it. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Just one of those, Linda, not two. Just one of the scalloped. Oh, getting ahead of myself here. Okay, pop those ribbons. See how the one side is like nice and curly, and the other side is kind of like just boom underneath there, just like that. You could try to do it afterwards too, but lately I've been finding it's easier to do before I put the ribbons in. Okay, and twist around itself. Okay, so it's all together. Cut it off about right there. Go between the butt cheeks, push it back, let it go, and separate out the ribbons. Okay, it helps to kind of pull these two together to kind of make that. I know I'm going to mess up and go back to doing it my old way. So to keep reminding myself that no, I'm doing it a slightly different way, and it's okay. So it might take a little while till you get them together. Or if it wasn't quite centered, like this one looks a little longer, then I'm just going to go in and boop, cut a little bit off. There we go. Nice and easy, my friends. Okay. Oops. Coming through around this way. There we go. There will be one step that we have to do extra when we're done with each layer, just because I'm putting on the mesh and then the ribbon. So if you want to put on all the mesh first and then all the ribbon, you can absolutely do that. But I just want to show you a different way of doing that. This is going to be so cute. Now, I don't have cats. I can't, because I am like, I'm not joking when I say deathly allergic, like my throat closes up. but only with certain types of cats. I never was able to go visit my aunt because when they had a previous type of cat, I couldn't stay. Like my eyes would swell up and I couldn't see and I couldn't breathe, which is kind of a problem. But then I guess when that cat had passed, hadn't visited in a while, and when I did, I was able to breathe. I mean, it still bothered me after a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as before. So I think there's a difference between the coarse hair and the silky hair for my allergies. I don't know if everyone else is like that, but I'm like, oh, so now I can actually go to my aunt's. We went there for last Easter, which was lovely. Here we go. Wrapping this around. So see, everything about assembling this except cutting off the pipe cleaner piece, once you've cut the pieces, this would be a great craft that you could do with the kid. They can just put the mesh in, they can pull the ribbon tails apart, all the fun stuff. Especially, if they're getting a little bit older and they're like, I'm too old to play with, like, crayons or clay foam or that kind of stuff, and they want to do something like this. Also, like, if you're a grandparent, this is a great thing that you can do so that they could give, like, their mom a Mother's Day wreath. Oh, would that be cute? Or for Christmas, if you got the grandkids over and you want to do something with them, this would make a really fun thing you can do with the kids. All right, here we go. I hope you guys are having fun. This is Valentine's night when I'm recording this. I think I have some chocolate somewhere. Oh, actually, I'm staring at a mini Snickers right now. Oh, yay. I know what I'm doing after I finish this wreath. I'm goal-oriented, and the goal is usually a snack or food. So, yeah. That's me. Here we go. This is going to be so cute, though. I'm going to be so excited to be able to give this to her tomorrow. 1, 2, and 3. All right, here we go. Yay. Snip, snip, snip. Pop the ribbons. Okay. Open it up. All right. Thank you for joining me tonight and for watching this. We know you have a choice when it comes to wreath makers. And we appreciate you watching. Sweet Aria Decor. I'm an airline. No. I'm not an airline because I'm not charging you for your seat. You can sit where you want and I'm not making you pay extra for it. I'm looking at you, Southwest. I usually fly Southwest. They are my go-to airline. But I am not happy that they made those recent changes. I'm sure that works great for them, but I would rather take my chances and do that in the way they used to have it. I'm not happy. Here we go. Whatever ways the airlines can try to squeeze more money out of people. I'm sorry, you want oxygen? That'll cost extra. You have to use the bathroom during the flight? Oh, I hope you got your credit card. You got a little credit card thing you probably have to swipe to go to the bathroom. No, they don't, but that would be horrible. That would be terrible. Here we go. All right. Going over, going over. We have our nice rounded shape. I have dog kits available in my shop as well. I just got a sign for one and I'm going to be ordering the ribbon for it as well. But that one says, dogs welcome, people tolerated. That one's going to be cute, but I have to order the ribbon. Now, I can't order the ribbon though until I sell more stuff in my shop because I'm out of money. So I got to wait until I have enough room on my business credit card to be able to go do that. Yeah, is it probably the smartest choice? No, but you got to spend money to make money. However, you don't have to spend all the money, Linda. You don't have to spend it all. Yeah, well, I'm trying. I've been doing this. I've been making wreaths since 2016. I've been having Etsy since 2017 was when I opened my shop. So I've had it for 9 years, but I didn't get serious about it till 2020. Was when I knew I was going to get laid off in August. And I did. But I also wasn't expecting my husband to die of cancer that December. So kind of changed the trajectory of my life as I knew it. But my daughter's on the autism spectrum and she has some behavioral issues. So it would be very difficult if I tried to work a regular 9 to 5 job because there are a lot of phone calls. There are a lot of, I've got to go to the school. It was really difficult because she was 7 when he passed, and it would have been very hard to try to have a full-time job because I probably would have gotten fired of all the times I would have had to leave. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to throw myself into this and see if I can make it as a business. I am never going to be a huge supplier. I'm never going to have giant warehouses. I mean, that's the goal, right? But I just am trying to make enough to pay the bills and not have to go back working as a corporate job because I did that for 20 some years and I did not enjoy it. You know, I watched my husband work up until I think like a week and a half before he died. He never got to enjoy his life. He was always working. And he worked hard as a software developer. He was working hard. And he never got his chance to just relax and follow his passions. So I do this to honor him. Now, wreath making was not his passion. He hated the idea of even walking into a craft store. He only did it for me twice when I needed help with something. His job was to stay in the car and watch Aria while I ran in to get what I needed. But he supported me. He loved seeing my designs. He just didn't like going into craft stores. How ticked off would he be to find that his house now looks like a giant craft store? If he could come back for just one day, he would be so mad at me. Oh my gosh, he would not like that. Okay, so now we've finished all the ones on the bottom. What we need to do though is make sure that the ribbons, see how this next piece of mesh is over this ribbon? We just need to make sure that the tails come over. That's the only difference. Boom, just move the tail over. It's the only difference I've ever noticed with why I would do what I call the lazy method. All right. Here we go. That last one. All right, now I'm going to go on the inside. What I like to do before I start this is let's go find our pieces of pipe cleaner and bring them up so we don't have to go hunting for them. Sometimes the pipe cleaner likes to poke through the mesh, like in the middle of it, and we don't want that. So it's easier to find when you have both hands available. I'm just going to pull these up nice and quick. Here we go. Nice and quick. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Nice and quick. All right, so we got our 6 spots, and we're going to do the same darn thing now that we just did on the bottom. If you're watching this on a replay, you can fast forward. I wish I could fast forward, but I'm actually making it, so I can't. Here we go. All right. Number 1. And it's going to go on top of the ribbon below it, and that's fine, as it should. Again, left over right on your piece of mesh to make that circle. Now, this is going to be a little bit thicker than kind of on the bottom because you have that stuff underneath pushing it up, okay? But this is kind of what that looks like. Right now, that's kind of our depth, okay? This will squish down as we put other things on top of it, okay? But I also like that I pulled these tails out like this just because then, like, the beige is kind of in the back. Like, it's a background color. There's no pattern on it. It's kind of just meant to fill it up and not take away from that cute little kitty cat print. We like the kitty cat. We do. Here we go. Even though I'm a dog person. I have a dog. I have a Maltese Bichon Frise mix. Her name is Princess Gigi Vanderbilt Ruffington III. Or Gigi. That dog saved my life after losing my husband. She just was the best therapy. Between her and the wreath making and the crafting, both of those things really helped immensely. And I felt horrible guilt for crafting after my husband passed. Because I'm like, how could I be sitting here making a wreath when he's gone? Like, your whole world has crashed, right? But it, like I said, it gives you back a sense of control, feeling of purpose, And plus I had all this stuff, and he would yell at me. He'd be like, what are you going to do? Sit here and cry for the rest of your life? Get up and move. Go do something. Right? That was definitely what he would have wanted. Here we go. So I did. And then I took it a little too far because now my house is filled top to bottom. Finished decor. I did run a sale this morning in my shop, 20% off all the finished decor items. So I've got lots of wreaths and arrangements. I am going to be adding a lot more Easter bows. I made a whole bunch yesterday. I just haven't taken the pictures of those yet. But I do have a tutorial that I'm going to be posting that is for making bows, because a lot of people struggle with bow making, right? It's one of the most difficult pieces of making a wreath, and sometimes that actually stops people from wanting to make one. So we go over lots of different methods, different ways to do ones, and dealing with the nemesis directional ribbon. Bum, bum, bum. Ugh, nobody likes when it goes up and down. Those patterns drive me nuts. But sometimes that's just like, you got to use what you got. Like, it's the perfect pattern. It looks great. The colors are right. So you just got to find a way to make it work. Snip. All right. All right, and bring these around. Okay, so I'm putting the two 1.5 inch together, then the cat, and then the brown. You will have to keep kind of repositioning the ribbons because they are going to want to go back to like spreading apart. But the more that you do that, the more it'll kind of learn where it needs to go, right? It's just like when you have actors on a stage learning where they need to be, their places. That's exactly what this is. Okay, 3 more to go, and then we get to go on to the bow making, which is my favorite part. My least favorite part of making wreaths is when I have ones that involve greenery. I struggle with it. Even though I've been doing this for 10 years, I still struggle with it. Because it's hard sometimes. It's like you use the hot glue and you want to make sure you get it in the right spot. But here in Chicago, I'm the suburbs of Chicago. I'm not real Chicago. I don't have that street cred. But we have to make sure everything really stays because of the cold temperatures. So I usually try to wire greenery in. If I can put it in between those little ties, or if I'm using like an evergreen base, twist it in there and then add the glue. That helps, but it does take a little longer the way I do it, but I feel like it's more secure. But yeah, that is my least favorite part of making a wreath, is putting in the greenery. That's why I like making the pancake wreaths. You can add greenery to these though, right? You can add greenery. You can twist it in. Like you could just twist it right on top of here and then twist it within here, right? That could be done nice and easy. Go. Separate it out. These are fun. Now these wreaths are great, like I said, for the storm doors, but also if you like putting wreaths inside, but sometimes, you don't, if you're in a hallway, say you've got a bedroom door, right? You don't want a really thick 10-inch wreath sticking out, hanging on the front of that door. So these are great for interior doors. If you want to make a wreath to go in the bathroom, this doesn't stick out very far as well. So this method, I love this method. And I've made wreaths of all kinds. Patriotic, Christmas, fall, Easter, Valentine's Day, Tax Day, Arbor Day. No, I'm kidding. Kidding about those last two. I would never celebrate Tax Day. No offense to anyone who's an accountant. Numbers and I are not, math and I we don't math together. No. I'm going to have to hire an accountant, I think, this year for the business because I can't do math. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we've layered left over right. We've got that going. Let's grab. We only have 2 more ruffles to do after we get this set in, so I'm very excited we're getting to the end. This probably takes about an hour. we go. I hope it's not going to cut me off. TikTok will, oh, I shouldn't have said that. That particular app, because I have the camera over there and I'm not staring at it, after about an hour, it makes you slide this little puzzle piece over to make sure that you're still there. Well, if I'm over here, I'm not over there. So a lot of times when I stream to that platform, it kicks me off. It makes me very angry. So I don't really go over to that platform very much anymore. FB, the page of faces, the book of faces, is the one that I use the most. But I have been neglecting my YouTube community for the lives, so I wanted to make sure that I did one of these over here. And I also think that the recording quality is much better over here than it is when I stream off of FB, because it looks grainy over there because it's restricting me to 380p, and I don't know why. I go live a lot and the quality is just crap. So, all right. So like here, I'm going to point out sometimes with this stuff, you're going to notice, oh, there's a little bit of fraying here. You just snip them off. I call these stray chin hairs, right? I'm menopausal. I got all these little stray gray chin hairs coming out. So they remind me of that because it's kind of like wiry like that. So just trim your chin hairs like I do at night. I have a mirror next to my bed and I use the flashlight on my phone, and I have a whole process for how I'll use that, shine it on my chin, and I will pluck those chin hairs. Which reminds me I need to do that tonight. Because if I don't, I'm going to wake up and there's going to be like a whole crop. And yeah. The little tractor's going to have to go across my face, collect what's grown overnight. It's really bad, the stuff that starts happening to you when you get older. Oh my gosh. My 28, almost 29-year-old daughter was freaking out last week because she found a gray eyebrow. And I'm like, just wait till you look further south. Yeah, that's always fun when that starts happening. The things that happen to us as we age. Like I said, you turn 50 and your manufacturer's warranty expires. It's scary. 50 comes up faster than you would think. I was just 37. I don't know what happened. Now I'm 52, almost 53. Oh, here we go. I'll be very happy to turn 53, however, because my husband passed at 52. My ex-husband just passed away about a week and a half ago at age 52. And I feel like this number for our family is cursed. So I'm looking forward to turning 53. I also don't like when I'm even numbered years. I don't know why. Odd numbered years are much better for me personally. Good things happen in odd numbered years for me. I'm not into numerology or anything. That's just kind of just looking on past events. That's how it's gone for me. Okay, here we go. There we go. The last ruffle is in. Here we go with the last set of tails we've got going. I appreciate you guys watching. I know it has been kind of a longer process, right? But, and a little tedious, all right? Wreath making can be tedious, right? You got to do the same thing over and over again on something like this. A grapevine is a little less tedious because you can break that up a little bit more. But doing one like this, you know, it is what it is. All right, I'm going to stand up again. Here we go. The last snip. Putting that pipe cleaner back behind there. And then now let's separate out these ribbon tails. Giving it a nice good tug helps. You really want to make sure that they're all moving independently of another and they're not like grouped together, right? Okay, now let's go around and make sure that our mesh is underneath the ribbons. Okay. It's the only difference between putting all the mesh on first and then doing all the ribbon after that is just making sure that the ribbons go on top of the mesh. And it's usually like the one side is where it always happens just because of how you're making it. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. We finished putting all of the mesh and the ribbon tails on here. Now we are going to talk about signage, okay? And there are two different ways to go about putting on the sign. I'm going to find my, here you go, my good stuff, all right? So this kit comes with what we call cable tie mounts. So you know the zip ties? They're called cable ties technically. At the hardware store, you can get these mounts, right? So you can stick these on anything, and then you can put the zip ties through. So what you can do is peel off the adhesive piece on here. Okay, imagine the adhesive is gone. Use a craft glue like E6000. Okay, you would put a pea-sized dab on there, and then you would put that on either side. Okay, either side of the sign. And then you would go around the outside edge with your hot glue gun, right? That's going to make sure that it stays on there while the E6000 cures, because that takes about a day. Okay, so that is one method you can do. Then again, don't, what was I going to say? Don't pull too tightly, because you don't want to pop it off when you're going to go put this on there. But then our pipe cleaners are going to run through that, okay? So you would run your pipe cleaner right through that, okay? And then you could bend it, and then that's how you would attach it. Or the method I like to use is a little different. Let me cut off this rope. We don't use this rope. That's just for display. There we go. I will take the tube that is inside the mesh that you got, okay? And I'm going to cut 4 1-inch strips. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I like to use, my friend, the staple gun, because that to me makes it feel like it's definitely going to be more secure just for the weather we have here. So I'm going to take these, right, kind of flatten them out. Okay, then I'm going to take one of the pipe cleaners and set it right on top of here. All right, center it. And I'm going to add some staples. Okay, so push down first and then go 1, 2. Oh, let's add a third. 3. Just because I am a little bit extra. I want to make sure that that is on there and it's not going anywhere. Okay. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Boom. Right? I like this. If I am going to use a cable tie mount, sometimes I will do that step first and let it sit for like a day before I try to put it on the wreath. All right, so now let's talk placement. So again, remember, you want to have one of these up at 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, the other at 6 o'clock. Okay, that's how we're going to talk about this wreath. I want to do a bow down at the bottom. So I'm going to put this up here. I'm attaching it at 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And what that does too is it also hides the bit of pipe cleaner that's up there at the 12 o'clock position. All right. So how I'm going to do that is, let's just wiggle this around. Okay. This is upside down. Now that, not that it matters. All right. But I'm going to put, see how we have that spot here where the pipe cleaner already was? We're going to just follow with, this pipe cleaner is going to go over that path that was already made. Okay. The top one is easy. The bottom one might take you a little bit to kind of weave through, right? But you can kind of poke through. But you want to have the one pipe cleaner coming up on the inside of ring 1 and the other one going down on the outside, coming out outside ring 2. All right, so let's flip it over. Okay, and this is what I was talking about. Okay, inside of ring 1, outside of ring 2, and then bring them together. And I like to twist it at the point on the metal ring. So I'm gonna bring it right here. Right here's where I'm twisting it. Okay. Twist, twist, twist. Okay. Now, this is a little extra. That wasn't centered, so I'm just going to cut that off. Okay. But I'm going to take the extra and wrap it just around the frame. All right. But I'm going to make sure, because we don't want any of it sticking out. We don't want it to snag or scratch the door. Okay. And then I'm just going to take that little end, pop it over, and there we go. Nice and flush. Nothing hurts. Okay. Then we're going to go back and do the other side. Okay. You might too, if you're having trouble getting it centered, just give it a light tightening on the one end before you attach the other one. And then you can make sure you really like it before you bother twisting it all together and wrapping it around the wreath frame. Okay. All right. Of course, this one doesn't want to go. So sometimes you have to like get it through the first ruffle, and then you can go through and kind of try to guide it through the second ruffle. It's just that inside one that sometimes is kind of a pain. Okay. Here we go. Make sure I like that. Does that look good? Yes, that looks good. Okay. Twisting this all together. One big piece. Trimming it so that it's even. All right, and then let's just wrap this around the wreath frame. All right. Tuck it under. There we go. All right. I'm going to bring this back. I'm just going to make sure that the ribbon ties or the ribbon tails are where they need to be. Okay. Pull that up a little bit. Perfect. Want to make sure we don't see the pipe cleaner coming out of the top one. Okay. And sometimes you can just make sure, like, I think I want to, if the tails are kind of running into each other, I want to make sure that the cap pattern is over the beige. Okay. And then here, oh, look, a little straight chin hair. Oh, another one. Boop. Nice and easy. Some people will use a wood burning tool to cut their mesh. I don't, because I don't want to breathe that stuff in. Okay, so now what we have is, we have our sign up here, but we have all this down here we need to cover. So our bow needs to be at least 6 inches wide to kind of come up and cover all of this stuff. And we want it to come up here a little bit too. We don't want to see that hole. Okay? So put that to the side. I'm going to use my bow maker. I love it. It's my friend. It's my friend. Okay? All right. And we're going to need one pipe cleaner. Okay? Definitely not a green one. How did that get in there? We don't need that. No. All right. So I'm going to take these off of here. Because we have the brown, the beige as our bottom ribbon, I like to use that then as the same bottom for the bow. All right. So our bow, we're going to do 2 loops and then a tail. So we can have the tails come down, or the tails can kind of go out to the side. I think I'm going to want the tails to kind of go out to the side on this one, I think. So here we go. So I dovetailed the end. I'm going to put it in here in my bow maker. I'm going to measure that my tail is about 6.5 inches. Okay. The tail is 6.5 inches where it hits. And then I'm going to put it in here. Now, when I push down, I'm going to pinch and twist so that the left side, this is actually the back of the ribbon. It's hard to tell. It's easier to see on the cat ribbon, but this is the back. We're going to bring this, we're going to bring this over. We're going to put it through here. Now, I want like about a 6-inch loop. Now, I want to follow, I'm not going to slam it down, okay? I just want to follow the nice rounded edges at about 6 inches, okay? Then on the right-hand side here, I'm going to hold this down and I'm going to pinch and twist with my wrist. So I'm looking at the back side now of the ribbon on the right side. So this is the back. We're going to bring that back over again. Okay, and then push it back down. Okay, that's 6 inches. Now I want to do it again. I pinched and twisted, back side of the ribbon. Here we go. 6 inches. Pinch and twist, back side of the ribbon down here. Bring it back over. Now I don't have to pinch and twist because this time I'm going to do a tail. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it over. Now this tail hits at about 6.5, which means I want to cut it at like a little past 7 because I have to dovetail it, and that's going to cut off some of that excess length. So I'm going to go right there. And then, hey, 6.5. Awesome. So it's all stacked like this, and you're like, how is that going to make a bow? This particular way, I want to do this one because I don't really want to have super long tails, is I'm going to just go a loop up, a loop down, and then the tail in the middle. Okay, loop up, that second loop down, and then that tail is kind of in the middle. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like. Looks like that. Okay. Now we are going to go back in with our kitty cat ribbon. Now, fortunately, like I said before, this is not directional. Kitty cat is up, down, sideways, you name it. So we don't have to worry about direction on that. Okay. But I do want to make sure that we do get some stuff going in the center to kind of cover that up. So we're going to make sure that we've got some good loops going on. So I'm going to start this one kitty cat over here. Now this tail is going to be at 6 inches. So I'm coming in a 1/2 inch on the tails. And then I'm going to pinch and twist. Okay, now you can see, that's a lot easier to see that that is the back side. Obviously, that is the back. All right, bringing it over. And then we're going to bring this tail to 5 inches, okay? So that is a nice 5-inch tail. Okay, maybe it's, okay, we're going to, you know what, screw it. It's going to be 5.5. 5.5. Pinch and twist over there. 5.5. Okay. And then we're going to go another one, 5.5. And another one, 5.5. Okay. Looking good. All right. Then I'm going to bring that tail again. That tail cuts off at 6, so I'm going to cut it at 6.5. Here we go. Boom. Now for this one, I'm going to bring the tails down. Okay. So we can bring our loops up. Okay, loops up. All right, so I want these to kind of start coming up toward the middle more because I really want to make sure that we get some coverage in there, okay? So this is what this layer now looks like, okay? It's kind of like that. And now we're going to add our 1.5 inch on the top, okay? Now this one's going to be a little different, so pay closer attention on this one because we're going to do a little center loop thing at the end, okay? So here we go. I'm going to have this tail come down. Now this tail, it'll be about 5.5 inches, okay? Pinch and twist. Now we're going to bring this is the back side, bringing it over. Oh, don't go anywhere. Here we go. Okay. Now I've got spots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I'm talking about the voids, but the void spaces between the black and white. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm not counting down toward there. So I'm going to have 5 loops, okay? These loops are going to be at 4 inches a piece. So I got 1. Pinch and twist on the right. That's the back side. Bring this over. And you can move your loops to make sure that you're hitting the right side. Now, this is the Easy Bows Design Pro. There is a link to this in, an affiliate link is in my profile in the link tree, okay? Easy Bows, but there's other bow makers you can get on places like Amazon. Okay. This is just my favorite one because it's, to me, it's the most versatile. I did use Pro Bow the hand for a while, and that just wasn't doing it for me. 4. Okay, so now here's the 5th loop. I'm going to make an extra loop just on the left-hand side. Okay. That is loop number 5. Okay. Pinch and twist on the right-hand side. Keep 3 of your fingers. Keep 3 of your fingers in here and then pull this down. Okay. That's going to give you your center loop and then just pull the tail down. Okay. So that tail was 5.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this tail at 6 and dovetail it. Okay. Hold that in there. Now, while I've got this here, I'm going to take this middle loop. Okay. The middle loop on the left, and I'm going to pull that up to the center. All right, because that's where I'm going to want that. It's going to fill in an extra bit of that space between the 2 cat ribbons. And then spread out your other loops. Okay, so center, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, center, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Okay, now I'm going to pull up a little bit from the bottom, get my hands underneath the bottom, and I'm going to push down from the top as I'm pulling up from the bottom. It's like keeping a big sandwich together, okay? I'm going to take this. I'm going to poke it right between my fingers, okay? Wrap it around, and then I'm just going to set it right